All right, everybody. I'm going to do another question of the month for you. Before I get started, if you haven't been there in a while, go to yoganatomy.com. Check out the latest online workshops and courses I've got going on the website. Some very good stuff there. And if nothing else, go ahead and sign up for the newsletter and get the latest articles in your inbox. All right. So this month's question comes from Daphne. Hi, David. I'm a yoga teacher, and I have a student that gets a lot of pain on the top external part of her ankle in Ardha Padma Paschimottanasana and Marichasana B as soon as she folds over. And that pain can persist for a few days if she tries to point the foot. If she sits in Ardha Padmasana, she does not experience that kind of pain. Would you have any advice to give me and her? Many thanks in advance. Good question, Daphne. It's not uncommon either. Um, I, I think there's kind of two ways to look at this, or two approaches to go after. One is the technique itself. The first and foremost is make sure the foot is in the right spot. There's loads of articles on yoganatomy.com already about where I believe the foot should line up. Of course, it changes slightly depending on the person. Um, and by that I mean, proportionally. If they have a longer femur, shorter tibia, longer tibia, shorter femur, it might change the placement of it. But generally, what you're looking for is the outer edge of the foot to sit right in the hip crease. Students have a tendency to push the foot further across. And because there's some stuff going on the outside of the foot, it's also possible that this person is already doing that to avoid that kind of pain, which is also understandable. The problem is sometimes that can increase the amount of pressure. It's hard to say without seeing it, without knowing what's going on there, but it's one thing to look at. So look at the foot position, make sure the foot's going into the right spot for that person, and maybe try adjusting that a little bit. That could be your first sort of basic test to try to figure out if foot position is the issue. Maybe you change the foot position, have them go forward a little bit. Do they still have the same problem? The other part is historically, is there a problem in the ankle? Has there been previous injuries there? Or just multiple sprained ankles. There is a tendency for ankles, once they get sprained, if you overstretch those ligaments, there's destabilization that happens, and you're more likely to keep rolling over that ankle and spraining it. If that happens, it's destabilized, and just that by itself can create pain when putting the foot into certain positions and then taking it out. So it could be as simple as that. If it's mildly, or the strains are not so many, less strains, it's possible that there's a buildup of scar tissue, and doing postures like this or putting pressure on that tissue, that could get irritated or inflamed a little bit. Long term, that's probably okay, but maybe short term, you need to reduce the amount of pressure going on it. You did write here that as soon as she folds over, that pain can persist for a few days if she tries to point the foot. It's a little unclear, meaning the pain can persist for a few days if she tries to point the foot. I'm assuming the pointing the foot is after being out of that posture and whenever she goes to point the foot. Maybe the thing to do is just have her keep sitting, which you're probably doing this already, but just have her keep sitting upright in it without folding forward. And then maybe just go a quarter of an inch and see if the same problem happens. So the next question is then, how far can you go? How far can you go without eliciting that kind of response? So upright does it. What's the next piece of that? And try taking it from both of those angles. Look at the technique. Look where the foot's being positioned, and then secondly, see where you can kind of move towards without eliciting that response. And make sure you get a good history and do an assessment on them to make sure there's no major injury that was there that they still haven't told you about, which is possible. All right, I hope that helped, maybe give you a way to think about it. All right, take care.